to the Construction Big Breakfast, where we give you a hearty serving of insider tips and business strategies to help fuel your day so you can thrive in the construction industry. Now, here's your host.
Good morning and welcome to this morning's Construction Big Breakfast. Delighted you're able to join us. Today we'll be going through a number of topics, including diversity and also the whole concept of success and how we can deploy digital techniques to assist us in that. And this morning I'm delighted that for the second time, it's the first time we've had a return visitor to this podcast. I'm delighted that we've got Katie-George Dunlevy, a Paralympic athlete who has had tremendous success that we'll hear about in a short while. But so, Katie, you're very welcome. I'll call you Katie throughout this morning if that's all right with you, because I'll keep on tripping up the double barrel name if it's okay. Could I ask you just, a lot of people will have met you before on this podcast and will now know you, but could I ask you just, for those that don't, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you are here this morning to celebrate, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail thereafter.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name's Katie-George Dunlevy. I'm an Irish paracyclist. I've been in the Irish squad for 10 years and I recently came back double Paralympic champion and silver medalist with my pilot Eve McCrystal, and I'm here to show my successes with Brendan and the team and to do another podcast and it is a thank you for your support.
No, you're more than welcome. And as always, Casey, as you know, we talk about breakfast to start off with, the most important meal of the day. I've just had a meeting with one of our clients, so I had my scrambled egg and salmon, so that was a nice start for me. But I presume, like as you told me last time, you had porridge, whether you're training or not. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, even though I'm not fully back into training, I'm still having porridge every day.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, well look, I think it would be remiss of us to not mention a couple of presents that you've brought in today. I don't think they're presents for me, I think they're presents that you received. Why don't you tell me all about them? Maybe talk through what happened there a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so Eve and I, we raced in 4 events in the Paralympics, 2 on the track and 2 in the road. Our first races were on the track. We had the 1k time trial and in the 3k pursuit. We have medalled in the 3k pursuit in World Championships in the past, and our last competition on the track was January last year, 2020, so we didn't know where we were compared to the other countries, to be honest with you, and we only had 2 camps coming up to Toyko on the track because there's no track in Ireland. We have to go abroad, so we had a camp in Mallorca in July, and then we had one in Portugal just before going over to Japan about 6 weeks before our competition, and also we did have to use another bike for the races, so it was actually a real test. The track events, I find them quite stressful compared to the road. I think it's because it's more enclosed environment and every pedal stroke is kind of assessed after, and if you make one slight mistake, it can make a big difference between you winning and or getting a medal or qualifying for the race. And for the 1k, we got a PB and a new national record, and we were absolutely delighted. And it did show, we were looking at our power files after, and it did show that we were in good form. So it gave us, it really encouraged us and helped our confidence before the 3k. And in the 3k pursuit, we have to do a qualifying race to get through to the top, to get through to another race, to the medal races. And in Rio we were 5th, and I think it was like 0.004 seconds away from 4th, so that was our race done. We were 5th and that was it, and this time we were hoping that we would make a medal race. We knew it was between about 5 bikes potentially, and we raced the qualifying race, and we had like an amazing race and actually broke the world record in that race to get in that silver gold medal ride off against Great Britain. We only had an hour between the races, an hour and 20 minutes, and so in some ways I actually thought that was a good thing, because it stopped me. If I have too much time, I'll just be thinking through the race, what I had to do, and actually I'll just probably exhaust myself. So actually I was kind of glad as that race quite short, quite close to the other race, and we knew our fitness would be fine. So we raced that final race against Great Britain for the gold, and we just lost out and won the silver. But that silver for us was like gold. To actually, after we had so many challenges, and even come the race day, we made changes on the bike, and I found it really mentally tough. In some ways, I couldn't wait for the race to be over, and I know that's not a good way to be, because you're supposed to enjoy it, and I know if I enjoy a race, I get the best out of myself. So I found that really mentally toiling with me, because I felt like pressure to perform, and it's only a 3.5 minute race, if that. And with that pressure, I was kind of going, but I need to enjoy it. I know I get the best out of myself if I'm relaxed and I enjoy it. But at the moment, I'm not enjoying it. So a few days beforehand, the day before, I was like, my head is all over the place. So when I actually finished the race, and we did we had a great race, I was actually mentally able to perform. Then we were so relieved, I think, and that silver was like a gold medal. And then 2 days later, we had to completely move accommodation and pack up that night after our 2 races and go to where the road events were, and we had the time trial 2 days later, and we had time to go on the Fuji Speedway, which where we were racing before the race, and go on a completely different bike to the track bike, and prepare and do a recce of the course to see what we had to race 2 days later. And we had the time trial. I was definitely more relaxed going into it, but then we were Paralympic champions from Rio, so it was kind of pressure to retain the title. I actually had a good feeling about it. We were on the course beforehand, and I really enjoyed the course. I really liked it, and I thought I liked this course. I didn't feel too much pressure going into it. I just thought, let's just go and just do the best race we can do. It's all we can do, and to come away retaining that medal was just an amazing feeling. And we won. There was footage of us that everyone saw. We won by a minute over second place in the time trial, which is a huge margin. It can be seconds. It has been seconds in the past between us and other bikes. So to win by a minute was just outstanding, really. It just showed, I think, just all that preparation and hard work that we put in over the years to get to those medals. It's been 5 years of work from me, Eve, and our team behind us. And then for the road race, so we've got won a gold and silver coming into the road race. My favourite events, actually, out of all of them. We won silver in Rio, so I really wanted to kind of win this. The last couple of months or even a year, I was kind of going, I want to win the road race. But on the day, the course was really wet and quite technical. It was really challenging, especially for a tandem. Eve was really nervous, and it really tested us on the day. It wasn't our physicality or our strength. It was just that I think that we just wanted to, we heard and we knew other bikes had crashed in the road races, and it was really precarious, and it was on that limit. But that's racing for you. I think, especially at that level, you are on the verge of you can fall at that corner, but actually you've got to get around it as fast as you can, because you're racing other bikes. And we were with 2 other bikes, 92-kilometre race, and we ended up getting a breakaway with 2 other bikes. And it was only in the last kilometre that we made a move and got away from them. So we attacked on the last hill coming into the straight, and we knew we couldn't come into the straight with the Great Britain bike because they beat us in the sprint finish at the World Championships in June. And so we knew they potentially could beat us. We just couldn't take that chance, and we had to try and get away. It was only in the last kilometre we were able to, and we did have a huge gap. We didn't realise the gap that we had, and we managed to win with a big gap ahead to win that medal.
I love the way you just say it all so matter-of-factly. And what I would encourage our listeners to do, if they haven't done already, is go back to podcast 22 that talks about your journey to Tokyo. But if I could attempt to just summarise it from my recollection, is that you used to row for Britain, you transferred over to cycling for Ireland, competed in the London Olympics, competed in the Rio Olympics, got your medals in Rio, then went to Tokyo and picked up these 3 babies. So why don't you just show them to the viewers, please? Because I think I was staggered how I keep on hearing about how heavy they are, but how heavy?
530 grams.
So hold them up there, because I think that is, as I say, it is so matter of fact, and yet, there's 3 of them there. Katie, hold them all up, because I think, to my mind, and I'm sure to so many others, what has always struck me about you, Katie, is your humility about this, and you skirt over the achievement behind all of that. Now, I'm sure that's partly your personality and partly of how you rationalise what you do, but what struck me in what you just said there, you referred to mental attitude and mental awareness and mental exhaustion used at one stage.
Yes.
You also mentioned about your own thoughts when you go into certain races. Some you felt ready for, some you were nervous, some you were looking forward to, some you weren't. So you mentioned about Eve, your pilot, being nervous about the road race. All those emotions play into performance, and they can either enhance performance or they can detract from it.
Yeah.
What sort of training do you go through to make sure that you're mentally fit as an individual and as a pairing to make sure you get your best? And maybe then draw it for the benefit of our listeners, because we don't all have the benefit to cycle at the highest level or perform at the highest level. How can you relate that to your own personal life, and how could others relate it to their lives in general?
Yeah, for me, I don't know, when I started competition, I was much younger. I was so nervous that I couldn't even get the energy out. And it was just over time that I just learnt to control those nerves. But I do know that some nerves are good. Like you say, you actually do need to have some nerves, especially some of the races. They're short. That 3 kilometres, you've got to. It's a massive amount of power that you have to push through for 3.5 minutes. So you can't be.
Sure.
I think if you're too relaxed, then you're not going to get anything out. But I know for me, I naturally just get it out. I don't have to hype myself up to the races like some people do. They have to hype themselves up. I feel that that naturally just comes out. If anything, I just have to be relaxed going into the races. And so to prepare myself for that, really it's just, I think I have to give myself positive thoughts. Like a lot of you can have a lot of negative thoughts coming into your head before the races, like, oh, they've got a better bike, or they've been on the bike longer, or all this sort of thing. So for me, I'm kind of going, oh no, but this is what you've done. You have to just give yourself positive thoughts, and then when it comes to the race, you've done all the preparation. I think we kind of knew coming into the races, we'd done all the preparation we could. We worked so hard, and our team had behind us, and we had a great support team behind us. So when it came to the races, we had done everything we could, and all we could do was just do the best on the day.
Yeah.
So we just had to really just have faith that would happen, and hope that would happen.
Well, that's a really interesting word, faith, that it can happen, because I suspect it's more than that, though. It's faith on the day, but it's the real conviction that you've done what you needed to do to get to that point in advance. And maybe it could lead on to the digital side of things. When you started cycling in 2012 or 2011, up to the point of preparation for Tokyo, how did you collect and collate all the evidence that showed how you were progressing and performing better, to the point that when you got to race day, you could rely on the faith because you knew you'd put the best preparation in possible, and that was evidentially based as well?
Yeah. So when I first started cycling, I think I only had a heart rate monitor,
Right.
and I was doing all my sessions just through my heart rate, which isn't the best way of when cycling, because it's you're putting the power out in your legs. It's you don't get instant feedback with your heart rate. Your heart rate takes a while to go up and come down, but power is instant. So as soon as my coach, who's been my coach, my current coach since 2013, he came on, he said, you need to get a power meter because you're going to start using power zones. And so that was the start of using power and heart rate. Yeah, you do have, and it's really just to look to see you can progress your fitness with your heart rate compared to your power. So you're pushing power out harder, but your heart rate is lower for the power that you're putting out. And then my coach is very data driven. I'm not so much. I am to a point, of course, but you're trying to really over the years improve on all your numbers for the minutes, the 5-second power, the 20-minute power. If you do a 20-minute power test, it gives you your threshold, and then from there you work out your zones, and you're trying to kind of improve that as well as other things, and as well as monitoring our power. We have some of us have a Whoop, which is kind of like a fitness, like a Fitbit, which we had the last 3 years, and I call that Big Brother, because our coach can, it's linked to a file on the computer, so we have training peaks as well, so all my training and data from every session I do, even my gym session, which will only show the heart rate from my gym session, will go uploaded to this file that he will see. He will analyse everything, and this will also go up the metrics from here. So this just shows your heart rate, your resting heart rate, your sleep, for your sleep, your REM, deep sleep, light sleep, and your HRV, but also your recovery for that day. So it just goes, it's just a bit more information there to the coach. And so it's very data driven, really.
But that's interesting, you say it's for the coach. So again, I'm always trying to draw the relationship with business. So for the coach, it could be the business owner or the MD. He's seeing everything, and then he or she is looking to pull levers. But I'm equally interested in how it can motivate you and incentivise you to set your own targets and improve your own performance, whatever that means. Whether you want to get fitter, stronger, faster, or just more healthy. How do you use data in your daily life?
I would be looking at the metrics from this, but I would be looking at my power files as well, and to see if I am improving, and kind of asking questions. And I would be looking back at my files as well to see, the last time I did this, it was this. So where am I now? How am I improving? Because it's all about really improving. Or there might be, it's really incredible actually, because even the last 2 years we improved in nearly every peak. We got a PB in everything, which after 10 years of training, where I thought I maybe peaked in Rio, and then after Rio for 3 years I didn't really improve so much, but then we managed to improve in a power. But even during that time when I wasn't really improving on the power, that I was still improving at things. There's other things that you can improve on, whether it be something in the gym. I always have small aims, so in the gym I might be doing something and I go, I'd love to get to this by this time. I'd love to be lifting this by the end of the year. That's a little goal I have for myself. I'm always kind of looking at the later.
Just go back a little bit to what you said there. So you thought you'd reached the peak in Rio. You were sort of plateauing for 3 years where it was incremental improvements, but then if I heard you correctly, it really took off in the 4th year in preparation. So bearing in mind you thought you were at your peak, and the plateau almost confirmed that, and then you took off again. Was it those 3 years of plateauing that formed the foundation of that takeoff, or was there something that you did differently based on the learning of those 3 years that actually pushed you on again? It's
interesting. It possibly could be, but I think my improvement came from a few things. That happened really in lockdown. It started to happen in lockdown. I think I was getting better recovery, so I was actually not doing anything between training. Literally nothing. And I was eating more as well. I think I was eating more. It was something that I've kind of struggled with in the past, and we have a nutritionist, and they were able to kind of help me with my feed, eating more carbohydrates for energy, and so that's something I really worked hard on and improved, and my power just went up. So
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, really interesting. It's something simple, but
I think that's been a quite a universal learning from the pandemic, is the value sometimes of doing nothing. We're in a society that we feel driven to always be doing something and striving for better. Sometimes you just got to stop and reflect and rest and recuperate and go again.
I think someone said that to me years ago when I was rowing. They said recovery is as important, if not more important, than training. That was when I was first starting out, and I was like, what are they on about? You need to train hard. It was only really the last few years I'm kind of going, recovery is really important, and it was only due to the pandemic I had that. So it's something that I know I need to make sure that I do if I want to carry on improving, or in the next couple of years. And the food thing is important as well. So it's eating more and resting more. And then so you've now got a new level and potentially a new plateau. What's the next target? I'm not sure. So I've had time off now, so I'm going back. I'm going way down there and everything.
I saw a note from Eve the other day. She's over in France or something, saw lots of cheese and red wine or something.
So she's going in a couple of weeks. She said she's not bringing the bike, she's just going to be eating and drinking. We're both keeping active at the moment, but we're not training as such. So we're like doing whatever we kind of want to, but just doing something every day. And we know that our fitness and strength will go down, but I think we need it for our bodies and mentally, because we haven't had a time off. We've had 10 days kind of every year and that's it. So for us to have this break, but we realise that we will lose a lot and it will take a while to get there again, but we're okay with that, if you know what I mean. I am. We're just going to just work hard, and it will you have to be patient with it, and then it will come back. Because
again, there is, both in business and high-level sport, there's almost this relentless pursuit of improvement and betterment, which invariably leads to burnout and failure, actually.
Yeah. And
how do you and your support team determine what the next right step is, and at what time?
That's a good question. I don't know. That might have happened. That might have actually was happening to me a couple of years ago. Maybe I was trying too hard. Like you say, you are trying to improve all the time, and you are looking at the data. And if you don't improve, you're on that session, or you don't get the number that you're hoping for. You can actually really be hard on yourself and kind of go, what's going on? You should be improving. So really, it's to discuss the best way with your team. So that'd be the coach really, and if we have got psychological help if you need it. We've got sports psychiatrists, so he helped me during Toyko. I spoke to him a few times before the track races, and he was able to help me.
Because that's a really important issue, both in sports and business and most walks of life, isn't it? That you strive so hard for perfection and success, and then once you achieve that, what comes next? And quite often, I was watching a great documentary with Paul Merson the other night, and quite often it can then lead into certain abuse, mental health, depression, anxiety. So it's really hard, I suppose, as an individual to live beyond that success, be it in business or sport. To what extent has mental health in sport developed in your time in it, to the point that it's truly helping people for life after sport?
I find sport for me helps my mental health. So right. I know it's my job per se, but being active, and I really enjoy what I do. So that's
interesting. So it's what you do as opposed to what it achieves that is what satisfies you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I love the training aspect of it, and I love the racing as well. But I love the training elements of it, and it makes me feel good. And it's just I'm used to being active now, so it helps me mentally cope. Really, I think it's just so that's how it works for me.
And it reinforces what you said earlier, is that when you feel good, you do better.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's the feeling good in yourself that is actually your driver, and the byproduct is actually these beauties. Whereas a lot of people are just striving for that, and then what comes afterwards. Yeah,
if I don't think I enjoyed it, I don't think I'd do so well. I think especially when my team, when Eve, myself, Neil are all the same wavelength as if you say, or we're when we're really tight, I think it just brings out the best in us, because we're a team at the end of the day. So when it came to the competitions in Toyko, we were all going through maybe our own mental issues, maybe, or stresses, like you say, or nervousness, but we knew we were together doing it, and I think that really helped us both in the races. So we had each other's backs, and we didn't want to let each other down either. Sure.
And that must have been particularly relevant this year, where you didn't have the support network of friends and families immediately adjacent. You knew they were there in the background, but they weren't physically present because of the restrictions.
Yeah, it was strange. Yeah, the only thing really, if my parents usually would be coming, and maybe some of my family members, and the thing I missed was maybe after our races we would have been able to hug them straight away with the emotion of winning. That would have been directly straight to them. Yeah. But they were at home, and we even though they weren't there, we kind of knew we knew they'd be watching, and we knew that kind of really gave us strength as well. I kind of was I knew the camera was on me and we were focused on what we were doing, but I was kind of going, oh, they're watching, they're giving me straight through the camera there, like I'm going to go and do it for them as well. I want to make them proud as well. So it really just encouraged us, or anything, just everyone not being there but back home. But we did have a small support crew with us, and me, Eve and Neil, the support, and we were together for 6 weeks, just the crew that we had, Eve and I and Neil and others are together a bit longer, but the 6 weeks we had, and we had them there, and that just really spurred us on as well. It was really they were kind of our family away from family and friends, because they were there for our last bit of training and our last bit of preparations, and they were there for us, and we knew they were there. And when it came to the races, nothing was left unturned. We had everything ready for us to just ride the bike, and that's all we had to do.
It's interesting because from my perspective, it'd be interesting your view on this, is because people couldn't be physically present there, I got the impression that the media were more interested, so there was better coverage. And what particularly I found lovely, frankly, was after every race, your father rang me to let me know how you got on. And I suspect had he been out there, he wouldn't have had time to do that. But because we were networked around the world, everyone felt that they needed to join together in celebrating your success. So there was a lovely virtual camaraderie and family feel that came out of it, that I'm not for 1 minute suggesting can ever replicate what you said, the physical hug with friends and family. But it was a lovely substitute, I feel. But how did it relate to your previous experiences?
Really, because for the track races, that's the only bit where we'd know about the fact, the supporters, because it's inside and there's usually about 6,000. But it was only the Paralympics. When we have World Championships, we're only used to usually Mum and Dad and a few others. In the side race, we're kind of not used to any spectators as such. And then on the road, it's 92 and 32 kilometres. We didn't really notice any different, and we're just so focused, and you're just so focused on the race, that the effort that you're going to put out, that you actually don't notice who is around to be honest. You don't notice if someone said, there were 6,000, you'd know if there were 6,000 probably before you were racing, but us not having people there didn't really make any difference to us.
Good.
And then, but
I'm sure
what we did.
Won't say that personally.
No, but what we did notice though, it was just like that 3.5 minute effort. You listen to the coach. You're just focusing on the coach and giving you the splits. Possibly on the road, but again, I've got my head down and I'm like I can't see anything in front of me. You may hear noise on the side of the road.
Sure.
Sometimes I hear Dad and Mum, but usually Mum. But we did notice the coverage at home, because we saw, of course, on social media, and we got after the races we saw RTE footage and people putting clips up or pictures, and we got so many messages. We couldn't believe the amount of support that was back home. The coverage was fantastic. The first time, I think it's the best coverage there's been, and it was the first time our races were shown, so people could see what we could do. But it was just great, that was the huge support back home.
But again, you underplay it, because it's not surprising, because I think Ireland got 7 medals in total, and you and Eve collected 3 of those. So,
that's right.
So it's pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's extremely special.
It's an incredible. And what really struck me, I was involved briefly in some of the planning for London 2012, and so the planning that goes into the facilities is immense, because every Olympics is about how do you create personal bests and world records and Olympic records. So the facilities are really, really important. You got a silver medal in the individual pursuit in the velodrome, and there isn't a velodrome in Ireland.
No.
Now I understand, either as a consequence of your success or otherwise, they're now planning to build one over there. But how does that work? How do you get a silver medal and you don't have the facilities that the competing nations have?
We just used what we'd done in the past on the track, and we did have a camp in July in Mallorca and then a camp in Portugal before going, and really just every session we had we just made the most of, and our coach just worked incredibly hard on preparing us the best we could for it, but we just knew also that the work we put in physically, the training that we had done would stand us in the best. We just kind of knew we were the strongest, kind of fittest going into it, but that track time, it's unfortunate. You kind of just make the best of what you have, and that's what you have to do, and you're kind of going, potential to get a medal, just see what we can do. We don't actually know what we can do because we haven't raced on the track since January last year, nearly year and a half, 2 years. It really maybe there's no pressure as well, no expectation there to get a medal, so it's just...
I hear you, but I don't believe you. I think you're underplaying that significantly.
But that's just how it's just how we...
No, I take that. Having spoken to you on a number of occasions, I know where you're coming from there, but certainly from my perspective, I don't think others do belittle your achievement. It's a lot more than that. But one of the aspects I would like to just touch on, and I recognise the sensitivity of that. But the context of this is, particularly in the construction sector, there is a race for talent. There isn't enough talent available to this sector at the moment. But we're arguably not fishing in the right pools for talent. It has traditionally been a male-orientated industry. I've been in the industry for too long that I care to remember now. It is getting better, but it's got a long way to go in a number of fronts from the diversity, but particularly from a female perspective, and from a, if I can use the right term, disabled perspective. I suspect that as an industry we are not really opening ourselves as much as we should do. And I'd welcome your perspective on how you view your personal situation and what industries and businesses could do to be more inclusive, and maybe take me through the journey you've been in sport to see, have you seen any similarities between business and sport in either it's more embracing or less so, and in your career has it got better or worse in your opinion?
Cycling is, I think it's sport as a whole, but cycling from what I've seen, I know it's paracycling, it's more male, there's more male athletes, there's more male cyclists and staff members. So it's like, since I've been in the squad it has been male dominant, there's only been a few members, female staff. I think it is changing, it is improving, but it's still a long way to go. I think in inclusion, I think getting women into sport is the issue as well. Cycling, a lot of they're just I think there's a tendency to be kind of unsure and nervous about the sport. It can be dangerous on the road, and it's just trying to get the youngsters into it. I think the velodrome in Ireland will help immensely, getting the children in a safe environment on there, and then they'll lead onto the road and to mountain bike and everything. So that's make a big difference. And I think it has to start from development as well, getting girls into the sport. And when it comes to the business, I'm not sure, to be honest.
But it's also the fact that the disability you had has not hindered your pursuit of personal growth and achievement.
No, and that started really from school. So I was encouraged. I was moved to, I went to a special school, so a school for blind and visually impaired students, and there was opportunities to try different sports out there that I could do that were available for me, and we were encouraged, all of us, to be active. And it was really through encouragement from a member of staff when I was like 15 or even earlier, and 13, to try different sports out, and I enjoyed them, and they tried, I started to get a bit of coaching in the sport as well, but for me it was just about being active and enjoying it. And I was struggling at school, so I think it really helped me get through school at that stage. Like I said, mentally at the time, I think it was just an outlet for me and helped me get through, because I was diagnosed at the age of 11, moved to a special school, so I didn't really understand what was going on. I was told, I had this eye condition, I could lose my sight, but I thought I could see fine. And even though I struggled at school, so then I was moved to school as well, and I just didn't like change. It was just I didn't want to stand out either. So I was kind of really struggling with that as a child, and sport for me just it gave me something to focus on. I enjoyed it, so it was That's due to the encouragement and opportunities I was given.
Yeah. And I think that's incumbent on any business, any sport, to make itself available, provide the environment, be encouraging, and explain what can be done rather than what can't be.
Yes, that's right,
But then it needs reciprocation, it needs people that are prepared to be brave and have the courage just to take a chance, because that can't be easy.
No.
Well, look, I think probably a good time to bring that to a close. I'm really delighted to see you again. I love the fact that you brought the medals in. Maybe you'd stay and meet with the team and show them around. I know that they'd be delighted to see this. And if people wanted to make contact with you to find out about your ambitions for the future and maybe how they could help, what's the best way to contact you?
You can contact me through social media, really. If, messages through Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. Well, if it's okay with you, we'll show the links on the website and that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in to join us today, and thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please do subscribe to our channel. If you liked what you saw this morning, please give us a 5-star review, share it, link it with others. And as importantly, if you think you've got a story you'd like to share with us, or you'd like to come in even to be controversial, do contact us on the website, fill in the contact form, let's have a conversation going, let's get you in front of camera, and let's continue the conversations together. So thank you again, Katie. Really appreciate you coming in. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I hope we'll have many more of them to come, and I wish you continued success in whatever you do, and I hope that Eve enjoys her red wine and cheese when she gets to France. And thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.
Want to learn more about how Invennt can help your business maximize its bottom line? Head on over to www.invennt.com and get in touch with our team today. Thanks for joining us this week on the Construction Big Breakfast. Make sure to visit our website, www.invennt.com, where you can subscribe to the Construction Big Breakfast on all platforms so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a positive rating. Or if you'd simply share it with a friend, that would help us out too. Be sure to tune in for our next episode.